The first item is assignment for request for council action. We have several for the Finance Committee. 22-110 expenditure over $15,000 for Cooper's Leading Edge for sanitation. 22-111 budget amendments. 22-112 ARP 2022 grant application for police license plate readers. 22-113 discussion revenue loss provision for the Treasury Department reporting. 22-114 amend job description seasonal laborer. 22-115 accept Friends of the Cemetery letter of intent donation cemetery laborer. 22-116 MOU with Medina County Sanitary Sewer Replacement South Prospect Street. 22-117 amend salaries and benefits laborer job description. 22-118 amend salaries and benefits 3102E part-time pay scale rate scale MCRC. 22-119 amend ordinance 8922 MCRC membership rate ordinance. 22-120 ARPA small business workforce assistance grant. Okay, the first item we have is 22-109 amend code section 941 for the garbage. Mr. Piccoli.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you recall from our last finance meeting, we had a pretty good discussion. There were some great questions brought up with respect to the garbage ordinance, mostly by President Coyne. We had a meeting since that point. Mr. Coyne, myself, and John Leneker had a good discussion. We seem to have come to an agreement with respect to the changes that were recommended, and we kind of talked through them. So as they're presented this evening, I think it's a good copy.
Thank you. Yeah, we just went through some of the things that kind of match what's going on in the city of Medina. I think some of the items specifically, even with the composting of garbage rather than rubbish, meaning the degradables, we kind of modified it in there to permit composting in the city of Medina, because prior to this change, you weren't allowed to do it. So I didn't want anybody to get tickets for composting in their yard. So I think we're all good to go now. I think the rates have been changed as pursuant to the last meeting discussion. So I think all the different items that needed to be updated were updated. Anybody have any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thanks, Dino. Thanks for you and John for doing that. 22-110 expenditure of $15,000 for Cooper's Leading Edge for the sanitation. Mr. Piccoli.
Thank you, Mr. Coyne. So additionally, in the sanitation department, one of the functions that the fellows service are the roll-off containers, and they need work periodically. So we look at those. The floors go bad, the latches, the sides, the doors. So we have a container service that comes out. Well, the price was almost $42,000 to service 11 of them. A replacement container's about $10,000 to $11,000. We did find if we have these revamped, we can afford to do 7 or 8 at this time, and that's for the $25,000. A replacement again is $10,000. We're averaging about $3,500 for welding, patching, sandblasting, and painting the ones that are worse off. And then, according to John, he gains 10 years of use from that work that's conducted. So that's why we want to go forward and increase this to $25,000 at this point, if we could.
Good. Any other questions?
Mr. President?
Mr. Rose?
Thank you. Mr. Piccoli, the average lifespan till we get to this point where we have to fix them is roughly
10 years.
10
and then
years.
this
So
will
we're
give it
getting we're doubling the life for a third of the cost.
We are.
Perfect. Thank you.
But at a third of the cost today, because the steel is so pricey, getting steel, the fabrication and so forth, and not to be long-winded, but for us, we tried delivering a couple containers to a weld shop, and then you have all that time in, and the price was 1.5 times of what this gentleman's charging. So it makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 22-111 budget amendments. We have 22-17, which is the Ray Mallett Park Valor Court Grant. Keith?
The first 3 are for that Ray Mallett parking lot that's coming out of 301 is general purpose capital, 130 is Ward 1 open space, and 104 is parks. Then the next group here is in 109. That's that Valor Court grant, so these are the appropriations to utilize that. And then the final group down at the bottom are transfers. That's 171. That's the ARPA funds. Those are just transfers to meet the grant.
Any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 22-112, ARP 2022 grant application, police license plate readers. Chief? Oh, yeah, Mr. Martin, Sergeant, Lieutenant Markham. You throw me off.
This is a request to apply for a $60,000 grant through the American Rescue Plan. This will pay for our 10 license plate readers and flock cameras for 2 years.
And it's the license plate readers and the service, the internet service to service them, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Any questions?
Mr. President?
Mr. Rose?
Yes, thank you. Chief Markham, is it, Acting Chief Markham, excuse me, is this the same that we've approved once before, or are these in addition to?
These are the same cameras you approved before. This is just to apply for a grant to pay for
Okay.
those.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 22-113, discussion on using revenue loss prevention for ARPA reporting. Is this you, Keith?
Yeah.
Okay.
They, so when they originally did this grant, revenue loss is something that we've never seen that in a grant before. So it's something new, and we thought, okay, well, that'll be great because we won't have to track the expenditures. We'll just get the money based on the revenue loss. Then when the grant came out, they had restricted it where you still had to show what you were spending the money on, which didn't really make a lot of sense to me because if we're getting it as revenue loss, couldn't we just use it on whatever we could have used the revenue on to begin with? So in addition to that, they cut back on what the revenue loss could be because we didn't know when they first started talking about revenue loss if it would be by line item or by fund or citywide. And that makes a big difference because if it's by line item, then you're not netting out the ones that were up. So you can get a lot of it there. If it's by fund, then you're only netting out within a fund. It's entity-wide. So it's not a huge amount of money, but then we thought, well, if we got to show what we're using the money for anyway, then it didn't really make sense. But at this point, the granting agency is strongly suggesting that we do use it, and since they're the granting agency, I think we probably should. That's basically where we're at with it at this point. They're pushing this revenue loss, and I don't know what their motive is, but they're the granting agency, so we want to use it.
Sure. Any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Well, it's a discussion, I guess. We don't have to
Discussion.
take any action on that, correct, Keith? Yeah, we don't take any, I'm sorry. All right, 22-114, amend job description, seasonal laborer. Is this Jansen?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. Currently, the labor job description is universal for seasonal laborers, part-time laborers, and full-time laborers. And as such, one of the requirements in the job description is that you have to have a valid driver's license and remain insurable under the city's insurance policy. This year with seasonal employees, we've seen a decline in individuals turning in applications. We've really struggled to hire. So we looked at the possibility of hiring minors with summer work permits. We currently have 5 job offers where we are going to move forward with that and deal with it administratively to where we're just assigning them tasks that obviously don't require a driver's license. So in order to do that, recommending that we remove the driver's license requirement specifically for seasonal laborers on a new job description. The emergency clause is requested because we're looking to move forward with hiring. Thank you.
Any questions?
I
Mr.
know,
President? Oh, go ahead.
I know it's already gone through civil service. They approved it. Did Mr. Huber get a chance to?
Yeah, Laureen had mentioned that he had a chance to review it.
Okay.
Would the under 50, or the 15-year-olds or whatever, will they be allowed to run lawnmowers and things like that, or just no moving equipment? How's that going to work?
We're going to follow the Ohio minor labor laws that specifically outlines what they can and can't do.
Okay.
Lawnmowers are not included in that.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Move to approve with emergency clause.
Second, including emergency clause.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 22-115 accepts Friends of the Cemetery letter of intent or donation for the cemetery laborer. Mr. Worley?
Thank you, Mr. President. You might recall from our budget hearing last year where we did discuss the need to convert our part-time laborer at Spring Grove Cemetery to full-time to help meet the demands of the department. Currently, up until recently, we've been through 11 part-time employees since 2013, and this is a position that requires a different type of skill set where you're dealing with families, lot sales, and maintenance at the cemetery. The Friends of the Cemetery and the Cemetery Commission understand the importance of this position, and we were asked at the budget hearing to consider changing the cemetery fees, which we did with ordinance 18121, and as well as find a creative way to fund the position. So Nino and I met with the Friends of the Cemetery Board of Trustees several months ago now, and talked about the position as well as a couple other cemetery-related items. And what we decided to do was identify items that we had in our budget for 2022, be it operating, capital, maintenance of facility, and present that list to the Friends of the Cemetery to consider funding those items out of our budget to hopefully free up money for converting this position. The Board of Trustees met and agreed to fund up to $21,000, which on the spreadsheet that I submitted with the RCA to fund the position as of July 1st for half a year is approximately $20,443. So with the hiring challenges that we've had and the contribution from the Friends of the Cemetery, I was comfortable making this request. The only question that we have then is how are we going to fund it in 2023?
And your suggestion is?
Well, there's a couple options. We do have some pretty significant expenses coming up. We have carry forward in the department. We're also looking at purchasing a data management system for the cemetery. And there is a pending request right now to see if we can fund that using ARP funds. That would free up approximately $40,000. In addition to that, we are going to have, as our fees were changed, hopefully we have a little bit more revenue coming in. But we're going to have to figure that out before the next budget cycle.
Well, I guess, yeah, the question is not only the next budget cycle, meaning 2023, but if you'd like this person to work in 2024, you probably have to pay for another year after that. So I think it's an ongoing question, not just, because I don't think you're going to want to hire somebody for 1 year and then tell them, well, you're really not budgeted for the future, but we'll play it year to year, year to year and see how you do. I don't know if anybody would want to take the job because they would be concerned that at some year the funding will go away and they'd be fired, right? So I think this is a question for us to think about on a long-term basis, how to come up with the funding, which would be, that much money. It'd be $40,000 a year going forward, which in 5 years is $200,000. So where would that money come from? I mean, so you got to think about that question. So I don't know the answer to the question right now because I haven't really thought about it enough to determine, where the money would come from. But you have to look at the whole city to see the needs of the whole city, what's important, prioritize them, where does that money come from? Some other department would have to lose a little bit of money, or a capital account would have to lose a little bit of money going forward to fund an operating function, so.
Mayor has a comment.
Mayor?
I don't think, Jansen can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we're looking for an additional appropriation. What we're doing is trying to find other mechanisms to free up funding, be it grants or other projects that we can get funded either with grants or in the future with Friends of the Cemetery it's our goal to continue the position into the future, not just do it for a year or two.
Well, that's my point.
We need the position. Jansen's already articulated that. Nino agrees with that. We feel that sooner is better than later. This is an opportunity for us to get started for the second half of this year. And if we can get some other grants, then Jansen doesn't have to use so much of his carry forward. And if we can't get the grants, then we'll have to continue to adjust things to continue it. But it is not the administration's position that it'll be short-lived.
No, I agree, and I think as our obligation as council members is to figure out, there's going to be a point in time where we may have to figure out where's the money going to come from. And, maybe you're out of carry forward, maybe you juggle it enough to do some projects that you were going to do. You have to cancel some of those projects to pay for the laborer, but at some point, there's going to be an issue where the city's going to have to pick up that extra cost because, maybe we can get grants for a few years, but I don't know if we can get them every year. You know what I mean? I don't know.
John?
The only thing I want to add to that is we always get the job done, no matter what it takes. And part of the, I guess, frustrating piece for me as the manager is that a lot of times it's at the cost of other departments. Our forestry department helps out at the cemetery almost every day. They're on overtime mowing grass right now. Our parks department in the wintertime, our burials have been up 30% the last 2 years. It's not uncommon in the wintertime to have 5 employees doing full interment. And we've made it work through our collaboration with the other departments. But when you look at the budget for the cemetery, it's much more than what it is on paper. So when I wouldn't be recommending this position if I didn't feel strongly about it. We've been very blessed in the last year to have stability with the position, but from a managerial standpoint, we've also had stability with our sexton, and there's nothing more frustrating for a leader of that department than to have the person that you've trained constantly turning over, because you're back to square one. You're spending time training. You're not out there doing what you could be doing if you had stability in the department. So I just wanted to add that.
Denny?
Well, and I think Jansen and the sexton and the other departments have exhausted all options that, I mean, like Jansen says, fortunately, by using the other departments, they're still able to get the job done. We talked about this in private about, you know, other means of funding that's gonna have to happen. You know, the Friends have been so generous to the operations of the cemetery, and, you know, we couldn't have done things without them. But, you know, one of the options is, and not using a chunk of it, is, you know, the bond issue is gonna be dropping off the rec center here next year. They're gonna free up some funds. Now, we haven't dedicated all or any of those funds yet, but there is opportunities that we're gonna be able to use. We may have to, at some point in time, reallocate the income tax. I mean, hopefully that would be a last option, but, I mean, I think Jansen's correct that this job is important enough that we should, in my opinion, pass it immediately to get us through the rest of this year, and hopefully, you know, the city has been fortunate with grants and over the years, and hopefully we'll find some interesting ways to generate funds, so.
I concur.
Yeah.
Mr. Coyne, one last point. I probably should have said it earlier, but so the income tax allocation is on a significant upward trajectory from what we've seen in the past. And if it continues, which we expect it will with the job growth and the industrial expansion that we've had in the city here, as well as commercial increases, that if that continues, a certain portion of that income tax is dedicated to the general fund, which also supports the cemetery. So I think reasonably, we could expect that some of this could be absorbed, say 4 or 5 years out, when we have to come up with a funding option to have it sustain itself.
Yeah,
would be
no,
my
I
hope.
think you're right. I think the income tax generation has increased and is maintaining an increase, which is good. And, you know, of course, we're going to go through cycles, but I think we save enough money as a city to handle those ups and downs. But you're right. I think we're growing as far as money is concerned, and the city's at build out pretty much. So we've been growing the pie, so to speak, without growing the number of services that are needed to service that in Alto Pie. Bill? You had a question?
I do have one more question. Jensen, you sent us two spreadsheets. What's the difference between the two? One shows the 20,000 and the other one shows 53,000, 54,000.
Yeah, so the first sheet that shows 20,000, that's to add the position this year for 6 months, what the additional cost would be. Because we've already budgeted for that position at 1508, and then half the healthcare. The second page is the original proposed change that we submitted with the budget in 2021, where we budgeted for the position at a 31 pay grade, topped out at step F with family health care. So that would be the most expensive option. Next year, if the position's filled this year, they'd be at a 31B. If we plan for family health care, it's about 43,000.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? I think everybody in council seems comfortable with moving forward, doing it. I think we just have to make sure and keep track of making sure we're covering the cost of it, whether through the income tax revenues that have been increased, but they're all spread out. So we just have to make sure that we keep an eye on it and make sure that we can handle it, so to speak, without having to use, as you mentioned, your other resources in your other departments to cover the shortfall. Right?
Move to approve?
Second, is this with the emergency clause?
Oh, okay, did not,
So the emergency clause is added to that, and
okay.
does anybody have any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Right.
22-116 MOU with Medina County Sanitary Sewer Replacement with South Prospect. Patrick?
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe at our last meeting, council.
Wait, your mic on?
I believe at our last meeting, council approved authorization to bid for South Prospect Street. At that time, we mentioned that sanitary sewers would be replaced and Medina County would be responsible for those costs. This is the memorandum of understanding between the city and the county commissioners, just outlining that agreement, and it's already been approved by the county commissioners.
How about by our esteemed law director?
I don't know, actually. It's the exact same MOU we used a couple of years ago on South Broadway Street.
So, Mr. Huber, you're okay with that?
Maybe pass it subject to my review. I haven't looked at it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Move to approve, subject to final approval of the law director?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 22-117, amend job description for laborer. Mr. Pacoli.
Thank you, Mr. President. So prior to this year, one of our employees with a regular driver's license, non-commercial, wanted to obtain a CDL endorsement. They would go get the temporary packet, study, pass the temporary exam, and then use a city vehicle and train, and then take the actual test in the city vehicle. Well, those laws changed in February. Someone who wants to seek the same now must go to a trained, certified facility and obtain, the endorsement for Class B and higher. By doing so, we're going to limit our internal pool, as the request speaks to. We don't have currently internal laborers with a CDL endorsement, so in the future, very near future, the progression allows for an MEO operator to be filled that requires a Class B. So we're looking at this, and the Civil Service Commission has approved it as well. After explaining it, we're asking for the preferred in the job description as a state's valid Class B commercial driver's license preferred. It doesn't discount someone who does not have it, but if two candidates are of equal skill set and one has the endorsement, the preference could be given to the person with the endorsement.
Any other questions, comments?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rose?
Mr. Piccoli, who's responsible for the new training to get the CDL going to the expert?
So that would be like Great Lakes, Hamrick, those institutes. So the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration or
Who pays for it?
the individual.
The
The city
individual?
does not, correct. I'm
Okay,
sorry
all right.
if that's what you're asking.
Right,
Yes.
right.
We paid folks during training, we reimbursed for the endorsement. It was like $115 tops. So we're hearing numbers of $5,000 to $10,000
Yeah,
for
that's why I
certified
asked.
training. And some of these guys, shame on them for not going and getting the training when they could have, and now they're feeling it. So it is what it is.
Okay.
But we do not, and nor do we intend on paying for such a school or certification at this point.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Move to approve?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 22-118, amend salaries and benefits 3102E, MCRC part-time pay rate amendment. Mr. Worley.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you know from previous meetings, we are still having hiring issues at the rec center with our front desk employees as well as lifeguards. The lifeguard issue has not gotten any better, and in fact, it's got worse with summer coming. Currently, we have 40 lifeguards on staff. Last year at this point, we had 62. So we're at a crossroads. We're going to have to close pools or make some changes in order to staff the pools, staff the front desk, and fill some positions at the rec center. A lot of the issues that we're looking to correct with this particular request is to catch up to the changes from minimum wage. Back in 2009, we stopped giving increases for those on the part-time pay scale at the rec center. So many of these employees, other than lifeguards who recently got a small increase, have not seen a raise other than a merit increase since 2009. We feel that obviously with the change with minimum wage, as well as the market right now, we're hoping to correct this by doing away with the current part-time pay scale that we have and realigning with the pay scale that the city uses as a whole, with some minor modifications. So what we're looking to do is simplify the entire pay grid. We have identified positions by groups. So group one is positions that we don't have any issues with hiring. It's minimum wage employees, camp counselors, timekeepers. Our group two is the pay grade that aligns with our seasonal pay rate in the Parks Department. So lifeguards will be making the same amount of money as people that are out maintaining our parks, as well as the front desk at the rec center. So the grouping then continues to move up as responsibilities and supervisor responsibilities increase. As we get to groups, I believe it's 5, 6, or 6, 7, and 8. Those are the only positions that are not frozen in the A pay range, which gives us the ability, Christy and the staff, to hire instructors, whether it be yoga instructors or aquatics instructors, group fitness. The certain skill set that you bring to the rec center, the certification that you bring, it gives us an opportunity to place them anywhere within that pay scale. And then also, if they are employed with the rec center and they go and they get more certifications and become more valuable and start doing more programs, then we can move them up within that pay scale to give us a little bit more flexibility, as well as be attractive to personal trainers or fitness-specific class instructors nearby. Christy and the staff did poll a number of rec centers, I think it was over 27, to see and help develop this list. So what we're recommending is proposed here. On the first page, you'll see the current wages, where the employees are and where they would be relative to the City of Medina pay scale. So
Now, are you saying all of them, like in group two, the various current wages, of course, they're anywhere from like 930 to 1156, they would all go to 1193?
yes. The, there is a cost to that, obviously. It's around $97,300
A year?
Yes.
a year.
So then the next question, you know what that is?
That's the next request on the agenda.
We might as well cover it now to figure out, I mean, you got the rate changes, right, but I mean, on the impact of your current budget, I know you have some carry forward, but how does it mold into the 5-year plan? I mean, do you anticipate that the rate changes will cover that in the future, or do you think there's gonna be?
Yes, so Christie being a finance expert, I'm going to turn it over to her for this, because she has done all the legwork on how we're going to fund it and make it work.
Yes, so I started by looking at where we would have been if we'd been doing the cost of living raises all along since 2009, and that gave us the seasonal rate. Then I looked at what we would need to do to recoup that money. We have not had a membership rate increase since 2016, so that's our next proposal, is to also adjust the membership rates by the CPI inflation rate every year, as well as increasing our day passes. So those two things right there would cover this entirely. We are having a very hard time filling even front desk positions. 972 is not very competitive. So nobody's applying, people are applying and then quitting right away when they get other jobs. So we know we need to do something. This grid was designed so that we would always be keeping up with the cost of living, just like the regular city grid does. Nobody at a step A in our center has had an increase in wages since 2009. And we just can't compete like that. So this is a multi-purpose solution.
We do know that, I mean, we haven't budgeted for it, and we have to take into consideration what the cost of living will be this year. We all know it's gonna be 7% or higher. So how, that's a big change in the salaries. It's, you're already talking, it's figured, let's say 10%. So it's gonna be a 10% increase in pay next year across the board, just to stay up with the cost of living, because, we're going through a cycle of inflation, right? So we've never had this in 40 years. So I just want to make sure you thought about that and how the budget's going to react to that.
Oh, we've definitely thought about that.
Okay.
I've got grids and graphs. That's why the membership rates, they net us about $1 million a year. If we were to increase the membership rates by the same factor as the wages, it would pay for it.
And we know, I mean, we did a wholesale change in the membership rates and, all the different rentals and all that. With that going up 10%, what do we expect to happen? I mean, do we expect people, I'm sure we're going to lose some people just by that, I would imagine. I don't think everybody's going to say, oh, I'm in. But, I mean, I don't know.
I do believe that most people understand about the inflation and the gas prices and the wages. We've tried our hardest to not raise rates, but it's come to the point where we definitely need to do something. We don't have staff, so.
Thank you, Mr. President. Christie Jansen, again, thank you for your hard work. I honestly feel in my heart of hearts that the increases are necessary, and I think membership increases, I don't think that's what's going to keep people away from joining the rec. When services are cut and customer service is not up to what it was pre the pandemic and pre the work shortage, that's where we'll lose patrons. So I think you're spot on by offering this increase, offering a way to pay for this increase. And I could be wrong, but I honestly think that even though the membership rates are going to increase, hopefully we'll be able to retain and get some qualified people in there that get you back up to the staff that you need to operate the pools and the front desk. I think that's what's going to be more important to the patrons than the wage or the membership increase. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. President?
Mr. Rhodes?
Thank you. Christie, a lot of gray hair, been around a long time. There are going to be some people who will not re-up because of the rate increase. So let's not assume that it's going to go one for one. Okay, I've seen it too many times. There will be some, and who knows, there may, new people moving into town, they may, hey, this is a deal, and they may backfill that. But let's look at it realistically. Take the worst case scenario, and, because I don't want you coming back going, I need more money. Okay? I want you to be successful in this. Okay? Thank you.
Jansen, you got something to add?
The only thing I was going to add is everything that we're doing is in preparation for, our income tax debt service to fall off and for us to be self-sufficient. So the proposal that we have about the membership rate increase being tied to the CPI, that's going to be evaluated every year. So we're not going to increase it if we don't have to increase it. But if we do have to increase it, we have the ability to go up to what the cost of living is on the consumer price index. So on the other side of it, our traffic for day passes is like 300% of where we usually are. We're getting people in the facility. They're not joining. Why, we don't know yet. But we've done a lot to improve the facility with, we have new fitness equipment, we have new water feature. So if we're going to do an increase, it makes sense to do it now because we're investing in it, rather than, if we didn't do anything and we're raising the rates. We're trying to make it better. People are coming in, they're noticing the changes. And I think, as we invest in our staff, it's just going to make everything a little bit easier for us.
Jansen, I think one of the things I hear people say about the day passes is they're hesitant still. Are things back to normal? Are they going to take a membership and then it has to close or something happens? So I think they do the passes for now, but I think they're getting more and more comfortable. They're going to change from a pass to a membership. I think there's a lot of members that you lost during COVID that are thinking about coming back. So I think this is a great time to kind of capture them. And when you look at 2016, what has not gone up since 2016, that it's time to do something about these rates. So I think timing's really good, actually.
Questions?
Move to approve with the emergency clause.
Second, including emergency clause?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 22-119, anything else to add regarding the membership rate structure and the increases?
Move to approve with the emergency clause.
Second, including emergency clause?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, thanks for the hard work. We'll check it out at budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
22-120, ARPA Small Business Workforce Assistance Grant. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. So the council, when we had the preliminary list of the American Rescue Plan Act, one of the recommendations of the administration was a workforce assistance grant in the amount of $200,000. And we've reviewed various versions of this with the City Economic Development Committee, and what you have before you is their final recommendation, including the eligibility requirements, all the detail of the 200,000. The committee requested that 50,000 of that be set aside to assist micro businesses, which are defined in the attached paperwork there, and also what is required and what they need to do to qualify for the grants. We're hoping to begin the program July 1st of this year, and forms will be available on the city website, and the cutoff for those will be August 8th, 2022. And if we don't get enough applications at that point, then we would likely extend it or give them a second choice. But we wanted to get some of this money to our businesses who are still struggling as soon as we possibly can.
Any other questions?
I'm sorry, maybe I should have started. Kimberly is on vacation this week, so she is not here to talk about it. She didn't just skip the meeting.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure this kept moving forward, otherwise it would have been
Yes, sir.
delayed
Yes,
past,
sir.
July, so we didn't want to do that.
Right.
Any other questions? Okay.
Move to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Anything else to come before finance before we have a motion to recess into executive session?
If not, I will make a motion to go into executive session at 6:43 PM to consider the employment of with respect to a public employee or official, to include the mayor and the law director.
Second?
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Hazelton.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
We'll be recessing into executive session to discuss the employment of a public employee or official, reconvening in the finance, not taking any action of anything discussed in the executive session, and adjourning from finance and moving on to council. We are in recess.